We send you now to Detroit, the Motor City, for today's American League Central Division matchup between the Tigers and the Chicago White Sox.
In a Tigers lineup filled with potential heroes, Johnny Peralta rose to the occasion last night with a game-winning home run. Today, Paul Konerko and the White Sox look to rebound from the tough loss with heroics of their own. The White Sox and Tigers are next. From the Motor City, welcome to Fox Saturday Baseball and a division matchup between two longtime rivals jockeying for early position in the AL Central. With that, we welcome you inside the broadcast booth with Tim McCarver, Matt Vasgersian. Timmy, the division champion Tigers, a 95-win team a year ago, off to a 13-12 start this year, yet still the choice for many to win the American League Central.
I think the reason that a lot of people chose the Tigers to run away with the American League Central, the signing of Prince Fielder during the offseason. However, Jim Leyland realizing how important pitching is, starting pitching, and Max Scherzer trying to get off to a good start today after a horrible outing last Sunday.
As far as the new look under new management White Sox, it's the first chance for many to see Robin Ventura in his managerial suit. He's brought a little different feel to that White Sox clubhouse.
And part of that different feel is a sense of humor, and he could laugh about last night's loss. That's going to bode well for the future for Robin Ventura and the White Sox.
White Sox trying to even up this series this afternoon. A.J. Pauley and the veteran-led Palehose. They've had trouble in Motown the past couple of years. They try and lead the Sox against the bullies on the block. The defending division champion Detroit Tigers. Lineups and the opening pitch are coming up next. Ready for their second in the three-game series on a beautiful afternoon for baseball. Sunny, a little glary, but no less perfect conditions to play baseball this afternoon in southern Michigan. Let's get you right to today's Taco Bell White Sox starting lineup. Taco Bell, sometimes you got to live Moss. Alejandro De Aza, Alexi Ramirez, and Adam Dunn lead it off. Five-time All-Star Paul Konerko at first base batting cleanup as per usual. A.J. Pierzynski bats in the 5 spot this afternoon. Alex Rios off to a much better start in 2012, number 6. Diane Viciedo, Brent Morrill, and Gord Beckham, one of last night's would-be heroes, batting number 9. Opening pitch is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds, and we are ready for baseball on this fine afternoon in Detroit. It is 27-year-old Max Scherzer on the mound for his 6th assignment of the year here today.
And what a difference a year makes, Matt. 4-0 last April was Max. 1-3 with a bulging earned run average of 7.77. And in his 7 warm-up pitches before the game, he did not throw 1 strike.
And he starts with ball 1 to Alejandro De Aza.
Stay compact and don't fly open. Try to throw strikes. He walked 7 last Sunday, and a key start for Max today. Even that pitch out of the strike zone.
There are a lot of eyes on Max Scherzer today, and for a couple of reasons. First of all, the recent results have not been good, coming off a very rough start Sunday in New York, in which he allowed 3 earned runs and walked a season-high 7, all that in fewer than 5 innings. So as a result, they have, as they say, tinkered with him for today's assignment. A ball and 2 strikes to Alejandro De Aza.
They, meaning Jeff Jones, the pitching coach, working very, very hard, trying to keep the hands together and not flying open. As Jim Leland says, Max is a bit of a fall-off guy, which means he opens up too quickly.
2 balls and 2 strikes, the count to De Aza to start the afternoon. A swing and a miss.
Very important to get off to a strong start. Max and Jeff Jones working on keeping the hands together, and that's what Jeff Jones is working with Max on right there. Now right there, that's the key. When he brings the hands from over the head to the chest and keeps the hand in the glove, the delivery, trying to keep stay as compact as possible in his delivery.
Alexi Ramirez bites on the first pitch and sends a pop-up into shallow center, and it drifts over to Ryan Rayburn, who handles out number 2.
Max Scherzer on that strikeout pitch to De Aza. You can almost see him accentuate trying to bring the hands together and keeping them closed. That is kind of an old-time windup with the hands over the head. 40 years ago, almost every pitcher pitched like that, but that's not necessarily true. In fact, Justin Verlander, one who does not use the over-the-head windup.
0-1 the count to Adam Dunn, DHing this afternoon. And Dunn behind 0-2 with Scherzer working as quickly as he is. Let's take a quick look at the Scots defensive alignment behind him today. Cabrera, Peralta, Rayburn, and Fielder in the infield, as you saw Dirks, Jackson, and Bosch in the outfield. Alex Avila behind the plate receiving Max Scherzer. Adam Dunn stays alive at 0-2. We'll be watching the newly refined delivery of Max Scherzer through the afternoon, if only for that reason, Tim. If folks had watched his start on Sunday or any of his starts last year when he was a 15-game winner, he was not over his head with his windup as he is today. He's gone back to the way he threw in high school. And all this is an effort to slow him down mechanically. It's a pretty dramatic change, and one that required not 1 but 2 bullpen sessions between starts. And so far, so good for the newly recrafted Max Scherzer. White Sox go down in order. Tigers coming to bat. Tigers starting lineup brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you got to live Moss. This is how Jim Leland aligns the defending champs today. They go right, left throughout the scorecard. Jackson, Bosch, and Cabrera. Prince Fielder, the three-time All-Star, is forward today. Delman Young back in the lineup at designated hitter. More on him as we continue. Certainly Alex Avila and Johnny Peralta, 2011 All-Stars each. Andy Dirks and Ryan Rayburn rounded out for Detroit. On the mound for the White Sox, making his sixth starting assignment of the season, 29-year-old veteran right-hander Gavin Floyd. Floyd's first pitch of the ballgame is swung on and missed. Gavin Floyd coming off a very good one last time around, as Austin Jackson is in the midst of a very good homestand. To 1-1. Jackson digging in at 298, 5 for 13 so far in this Tigers stand at home, despite a hitless series opener yesterday. Jake Peavy and company very difficult last night, and all the reason more why the Tigers were celebrating their walk-off heroics in the ninth inning. A real old-fashioned snatch and back. Chop back up the middle, and Austin Jackson's aboard to start the home first.
Detroit needs a strong offense against Floyd because Gavin has been very tough in his career against the Tigers. He is a no-hitter waiting to happen, and the reason we say that, he's the only pitcher in Major League Baseball since 2008 that's had 7 starts and gone through at least 5 innings throwing a no-hitter. One of those was last Sunday. Not today, however.
No hit bid over.
Yeah. Over.
Starting in the first, here is Brennan Bosch now with the runner aboard. Jackson singles to open the ball game in the bottom of the first inning, and Bosch takes a strike. Gavin Floyd has been very good, though he doesn't have the victories to show for it this year. Just a 2-3 record despite a 3.13 ERA and an opponent's batting average that is the third lowest in the American League. The opposition hitting him at just a 178 clip to start the season. And a check in at first.
Yeah, you see that, Matt, and you figure a guy shouldn't be 2-3 holding the opposition to a 178 average.
Walk to strikeout ratio is in order at about 3-1, where pitching coaches like to see it. But the victories, only 2 of them in his 5 starts so far this year. Bosch slaps it to third. Morrill flags it down to Beckham for 1, and on a hop, Konerko can't finish on the receiving end. Bosch, who runs well, is able to leg out what would have been the back end of a double play.
Fine play by Brent Morrell at third base. In fact, he looked like Robin Ventura making that play. No softer hands in baseball than when Robin Ventura was playing third for the White Sox. Bosch hustling out of the box and beat the play.
So Bosch aboard on what scored a fielder's choice play. 1 out, 1 on now for Miguel Cabrera. The reigning batting champ in the junior circuit at 3:02 to start play this afternoon. 7 home runs, 22 driven in. And nothing wrong with the way Big Mike, as he is known to some of his teammates, has started 2012. Two balls and no strikes. So much focus on Miguel Cabrera in spring training, going through a much talked about position change to accommodate free agent import Prince Fielder. And while Miguel Cabrera hasn't made anybody forget about Brooks Robinson at third, he has played the position well enough. And he's out there because he can hit, make no mistake. Wind carries that one in for Alejandro De Aza, and there are 2 away. Let's take a look at the rest of the White Sox defense behind Gavin Floyd. The defense brought to you by Scott's, Viciedo, De Aza, and Rios in the outfield. Morel, Ramirez, Beckham, and Konerko on the infield grid. And it's A.J. Pierzynski, as per usual, behind the plate. He's thrown out 4 of 9 already this year. So with 2 gone, it's 3-time All-Star Prince Fielder. 3 home runs, 12 runs batted in for a perennial home run champ contender. And while that has caught the attention of some, his defenders are quick to point out that Prince usually doesn't start swinging for power until a little later in the summer.
Coupled with the fact that he is still learning American League pitching, with the exception of a few interleague games, signing as a free agent and changing leagues a little bit more difficult than staying in the same league.
21 of Prince's 26 hits as a Tiger have been singles. A big swing for the Downs there, 2-1.
Plus, he's playing in a ballpark that is tougher to hit home runs than in Milwaukee.
Two balls and a strike to Prince. Fielders scoreless, underway bottom of the first in Detroit this afternoon. I don't think it's been quite as pronounced. It certainly hasn't been as pronounced as what Albert Pujols is going through. But leaving the confines of the NL Central, when one can get fat at the expense of the Astros and Pirates and company, is a little different proposition when you come to the better pitching junior circuit. And Fielder is all tied up, a swing and a miss. A scoreless start to the afternoon in Detroit. He faced to start the ball game. Here in the second, he'll get Paul Konerko, A.J. Pierzynski, and Alex Rios. Scoreless so far to start the day in Detroit. Well, so far so good for the retinkered Max Scherzer.
Yeah, a strong start in the first inning with a couple of strikeouts. But as you see, over the head, you know, pitchers deliver the ball differently. Justin Verlander, for instance, never takes the hands over the head during the windup. And another extreme, Josh Beckett, holds the hands below the waist and then brings them up. So the different types of deliveries of major league pitchers.
Paul Konerko bites on the first pitch, leading off the second, and sends a fly ball to right for Brennan Bosch, and there's one away.
Jeff Jones, the pitching coach, telling us yesterday that, 40, 50 years ago, almost all pitchers pitched with hands over the head. That was the style of pitching. There were very few pitchers that sacrificed velocity for control. And when you bring the hands together below the head, you're more of a control pitcher. I remember Nelson Briles during his career back in the 60s, Billy Muffett of the Cardinals taking Nelson aside, and Nelson was wild, and he brought the hands to the thing. He won 11 of 12 of his first starts in 1967.
A ball and a strike to count to A.J. Pierzynski. Pierzynski really the only consistent White Sox who's been able to figure out Max Scherzer through the year. 7 for 21 against him. He sawed off there and bounces it out to first for Prince Fielder. So with 2 gone on the bases empty, Tim, time to look at today's 4 keys to the game.
Well, for the White Sox, we talked about Robin Ventura having a short-term memory, having a great sense of humor when we met with him a couple of hours ago. And the Tigers get the starter straightened out, and so far so good for Max Scherzer.
There was really nowhere to go but up for a 15-game winner from a year ago. His ERA at 7.77 to start play today, 5th highest among qualified starters, and 4 runs higher than the league average. Too good a track record to indicate that would continue as he starts Alex Rios with strike 1. Rios off to a much better start in 2012 than compared to a year ago.
Good breaking ball to Rios.
And he's behind 0-2.
That breaking ball just kept going away, 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 and down.
And there's one that Scherzer yanks, a ball and 2 strikes. Scherzer has faced the White Sox once this year and had a big strikeout night at their expense. Punched out 11 back on the 13th of April. But in a cruel twist of non-justice, was hung with a 5-2 loss. Off the fists and rolled out to second. Ryan Rayburn's got it. 6 up, 6 down for Max Scherzer this afternoon. By Chevrolet is sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Terrific overhead pictures of downtown Detroit back into the ballpark where it's a scoreless draw early on, bottom of the second inning, and Delmon Young leading things off for the Tigers. There was very little reaction, as we were all curious as to what kind of reaction, if any, the fans would have when Delmon Young's name was announced for the first time. Back in the lineup today, DHing. After a very high-profile brush with the law in New York last week. Arrested and charged with assault, among other charges, after an incident in Manhattan late night last week. Further complicating the issues for Delmon is the allegation of a hate crime because of some of the dialogue that was exchanged with the other party. It's a fly ball well struck out to center. Alejandro De Aza is under it, and there is one away. So Young, having served his 7-game suspension, one handed out by the league, not by the Tigers, is back in the lineup today after spending yesterday, according to Jim Leyland, just getting back into the baseball mix.
Jim Leyland telling us in spring training that Delmon Young, who's on his walk year, he playfully said this, Jim did, that Delmon is playing for groceries this year. And as we know, Delmon playing for a lot more than groceries right now, trying to win his respect back.
Here's Alex Avila now, the 2011 All-Star, off to a good start. He homered yesterday. Fine play by Alexi Ramirez, but he can't get a throw off, and Avila will reach on an infield single. Today's game is sponsored by Roundup Extended Control Weed and Grass Killer Plus Weed Preventer. And by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. The spirit of Detroit. Felt no stronger than a place like the ballpark on this afternoon. So Avila aboard with one gone, and that'll bring up Johnny Peralta, last night's hero, with his first home run of the year, coming to win it for the Tigers walk-off style. There's really no sleeping on this lineup.
No. Not when your 7th-place hitter is a guy who hit 21 home runs last year. Again, Jim Leyland this spring saying, you know, I kind of like a 2 or 3 run home run late in the game. Well, he got one last night from Johnny Peralta.
Broke his bat. Little flare that gets past Ramirez on into left field. Time for a game break as we send it to Greg Amsinger at the MLB Network studios.
Matty, thank you very much. We're off to the north side where Darwin Barney's going to tap this one back to Jamie Wright. That would do it. Dodgers win 5-1. Chris Capuano improves to 4-0 in the year. In Beantown, Jared Saltalamacchia pops it out in the 9th. The Red Sox have lost 4 straight. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Matty, my good man, you and Tim, back to you in Detroit.
All right, Greg, thanks. I guess the big news out of that Dodgers-Cubs game was that Matt Kemp was held hitless. Stop the presses. Runners at first and second here with one gone for the left-handed hitting Andy Dirks.
That puts Matt Kemp below 400 the first time in a long time. Going into today, right.
They should get rid of it.
Going into today's action, Matt Kemp tied with Derek Jeter for the leading batting average in the major leagues.
Dirks at 282 to start the afternoon. Well, if you haven't paid attention to what's been happening out in Los Angeles, the under new ownership Dodgers have been led by an MVP candidate once again this year, and there are the numbers that Tim just talked about, and the 392 reflects his 0 for 3 today in the Windy City. Off to a torrid start.
Yeah, we talked about Derek Jeter also hit his 5th home run last night. Last year, not his 5th home run until September 5th.
You know, that theme that tales of my demise have been greatly exaggerated moniker. Something that Derek Jeter's wearing around right now, resurgent as he is. And it also applies to these uniforms, specifically to the White Sox. And the guy DHing for them today, Adam Dunn. There's a lot to prove. Off the fists and fouled off.
I mean, sometimes you just have to laugh at a swing, and that was a laughable swing from Andy Dirks. Everybody takes them occasionally. That ball's so far inside that the bat swung him instead of the other way around. Whoa!
Almost looks like he's playing a different sport.
It looks like he's lobbing one in tennis. That ball just ate him up inside, but he didn't put it in play.
Avila and Peralta board. Here's the 1-2 to Dirks. That one slapped in play and right through the 5.5 hole. Avila coming around to try and score. Vicieto's throw is high. 1-0 Tigers.
That was a smart play by third base coach Gene Lamont. Even though Alex Avila is not a fast runner. As you see, the tailing fastball poked through the left side by Andy Dirks. You could see Gene Lamont seeing how Viciedo played that ball in left field. The throw was high, and the Tigers are on the board.
RBI number 6 for Andy Dirks this year.
When you have a scoring machine, that third base coach becomes a very big part of the offense. Very important man. Ex-manager of the White Sox right there, Gene Lamont.
Ryan Rayburn, and he sends a ball to left. The wind has caught hold of this one as well as Viciedo makes the catch for out number 2. Well, the weapon that you fear most when you pitch against the Detroit Tigers, the long ball, the extra base hit, hasn't really hurt Gavin Floyd this inning. It's been 3 squibbers back to back to back that plate the run against him.
Infield hit, jam job the left field, and then a little CNI 38 hopper through the left side.
And regardless of how they score first, the Tigers are very good when they do plate that first run, as that 10-1 number indicates. Back to the top of the order now, and Austin Jackson. Jackson singled in the bottom half of the first, and then was thrown out on a fielder's choice play that came off the bat of Brennan Bosch. Peralta and Dirks aboard. This is not the blueprint for success regarding the Tigers offense. And Jim Leyland himself has told us as recently as last week that we're an old school throwback type team. We have 30 home run pop on the outfield corners, on the infield corners, and not a lot of team speed. There's another one that dribbles through the left side. Peralta comes around to score. 2-0 Detroit.
Boy, Gavin Floyd's got to be thinking, what's going on out here? Again, the infield hit, a bloop, and then a ball off the glove of Brent Morrell, the third baseman, right off the webbing. Jettisons into left center field, and the Tigers score another run.
RBI number 10 for Austin Jackson this year. And now the trouble is you're getting into the big boy part of the lineup card with runners aboard. Here's Brennan Bosch. He grounded out in his first try today. I don't know too many pitchers, Tim, that would prefer being bled to death, such as the way Gavin Floyd's afternoon has started, to giving up a handful of rockets to lose a lead. It's got to be frustrating when you know you're making pitches and there are little seeing eye singles that are beating you for runs.
That's a valid point. I think you can explain when guys tattoo you, then you're making bad pitches. When you make good pitches and they hit little floaters to the outfield, there's nothing you can do about it. You're not in charge of your own fate.
A ball and a strike to count from Gavin Floyd.
I mean, after all, your job as a pitcher is to keep the ball off the fat part of the bat, the sweet part of the bat. And when you do that, you expect outs to result from that. That has not happened in this inning.
2 runs on 4 singles. Jackson and Dirks aboard with 2 gone. And Floyd wants to end this nonsense right here so as not to face Miguel Cabrera, who looms in the on-deck circle.
Think about that marvelous sport called football. In the NFL, if a quarterback puts it in the hands of a receiver 4 downs or 3 downs in a row, he expects that receiver to catch the ball. The defense of the White Sox has not been good in this inning.
The 2-1 home is swung on and missed. And the White Sox have been a good, if not great, defensive team this year. They rank in the middle of the pack in terms of team fielding percentage. Last year, they were a very tight defensive unit, finishing 2nd best in the American League as far as field percentage is concerned. I don't think Robin Ventura is worried about this team defensively.
No, I don't think so either, but they have had a bad 2nd inning here.
Indeed. And a swing and a miss. Well, they didn't exactly knock him around, but they got to Gavin Floyd for 2 on 4 base hits. Tigers take an early lead and will return to Detroit after a word from your local Fox station. We go to the top of the third. Back with Tim McCarver, Matt Vasgersian. Nice to have you along with us in Detroit today as Diane Viciedo leads things off in the third. White Sox looking for their first base runner against Max Scherzer. It'll be Viciedo, Morel, and Beckham in the third inning. Six up, six down so far for the 27-year-old right-hander. Scherzer came to the Tigers in one of those rare three-way deals that looks at this point like it's worked out just fine for everybody. Arizona sent him to the Tigers prior to the 2010 season in the same three-way deal that saw Curtis Granderson go to the Yankees, Ian Kennedy to the Diamondbacks, and Austin Jackson and Phil Koch go from New York to Detroit. GM Dave Dombrowski combining with colleagues in Arizona and New York for one of those mutually beneficial deals. And a swing and a miss. That's three punch-outs for Max Scherzer through just 2 1/3.
Funny, from one start to the other, the changeup from Scherzer, and he's got a good one. That gets Viciedo. Wow, last Sunday, 7 in a row to start the game today.
Here's Brent Morel now with one away. You know, and the real good news, Tim, in terms of Tiger pitching is that Rick Porcello looks close. It looks like they found a nice number 5 option in Drew Smiley, who threw the ball well yesterday. And speaking of Rick Porcello, as I continue to get my gazintas turned around, it was in fact Porcello who, as a high school pitcher, had the over-the-top delivery that has now been altered into doing the same here at the big league level. Scherzer has been in and out of this type of windup throughout his career, because I know there's probably a blogger someplace in Grand Rapids or Lansing or Ypsilanti who's already tweeting the mistake.
Maybe more than one.
1-2 is the count to Brent Morel. But good news in the fact that Porcello looks close to returning. And how about Max Scherzer this afternoon? That's 4 strikeouts already today. So that'll bring up Gordon Beckham, who was 3 for 4 with a big home run yesterday. Here is today's Mazda moment. Gordon Beckham digging in much better for the White Sox in the month of May so far. Your Mazda moment, 3 for 4 with a double and a home run. In fact, drove in 3 of the White Sox 4 runs. He has been better and stronger in May, and if you're a fantasy leaguer and you played him yesterday, you've been smarter. It's on the ground to the left side of the infield. Hey, Miguel Cabrera! Fleet of foot. It's like the young guy that played third base for the Florida Marlins 10 years ago.
Jim Leyland saying he doesn't have a good arm, he has a great arm, and he showed it then.
Bottom half of the third, Miguel Cabrera leads things off for the Tigers. Cabrera, Fielder, and Young, the meat of the Detroit lineup here against Gavin Floyd. 2-0 Detroit. They string together 4 singles against Gavin Floyd in the second. White Sox pitching in general has been much improved from 2011. And we're joined by a gentleman who has keyed that resurgence. 2007 National League Cy Young Award winner and April's Pitcher of the Month in the American League, Jake Peavy, joining us. Jake, thanks for the time. And, hey, listen, congratulations on getting off to such a great start. I know coming off the significant injury that you had to come back from, it must be very satisfying to have the kind of success you're having.
I appreciate that, Matty. Yeah, it's been nice to be healthy and to do, what I once did and just give my team a chance to win and go out there and compete. Obviously a few tough injuries there in 2009 and 2010. But
Jake, the operation that was performed on you was the first of its kind. Is that right?
It was, Tim. It was obviously uncharted territories, but had a great surgeon, Dr. Anthony Romeo, took unbelievable care of me there in Chicago. And like you said, stepped out on a limb and believed we could get it done. And obviously I'm living proof that we can. You can get back from a lat tear off the bone.
So when one has to come back from that, Jake, and for folks unfamiliar with what we're discussing, you had a muscle actually detach from the back of your shoulder. How have you had to change the way you go about your business in terms of everything from preparation to pitch selection?
Well, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, it changes who you are and what you can and can't do. In between starts, getting ready for starts, and you just got to take care. I'm a little bit older now, 30 years old now, Matty, not far from that young kid that you called games for back in the day in San Diego. But just taking care of your body in general. I'd been healthy and thought I was invincible there for a while, but like I said, an ankle injury and obviously a significant arm injury. I got such appreciation now for the game and appreciation for taking care of your body. And I want to play, and I'll play until somebody rips this uniform off of me, so I got to do all I can do to take care of myself.
Jake, that operation has not affected your guitar picking at all, has it?
It certainly hadn't. We played a lot of guitar last night to try to let that tough loss go.
One gone here for Prince Fielder. And, Jake, we were watching Gavin Floyd, and Tim and I were discussing a pitcher's mindset when you get singled to death, as seemed to have been the case to Gavin in the second. Not a lot of hard-hit balls, yet he trails 2-0. Tell us about that from your perspective.
Well, you just got to keep making pitches. It's awfully frustrating when Gavin felt like he made a lot of good pitches, followed the game plan, and didn't get the ball. You have the ball off the barrel, but yeah, they're finding holes, and that's just part of this game. Sometimes the ball bounces your way, sometimes it doesn't. Gavin Floyd has got incredible stuff. You guys see that with some of the swings these guys have taken. And Gavin's going to be okay. Gavin will settle down. And this Detroit lineup's something else. I mean, you just got Miguel Cabrera out. It gets a whole lot easier with Fielder. And then after you get through him, get a guy like Delman Young, who's been outstanding the last few years.
There's some things you just can't control as a pitcher, right, Jake?
That is. You make as many quality pitches as you can in hopes they hit the ball soft.
Case in point right there. Prince Fielder with a dunker into center fielder.
That is right, Prince. And those guys, the hitters are going to get their hits. There's no doubt. But if you look at that pitch, I mean, that's a good cutter in off the plate. Prince just does enough to get a base hit there.
So 1 out, 1 on for Delman Young. Jake, there seems to be a kind of a new breath, a new philosophy, if you will, in that White Sox clubhouse with a new skipper. Talk about what Robin Ventura has brought and how the team has received his voice.
Well, we're excited. I tell you what, the energy, the positive atmosphere that change has brought here. Let's double play ball maybe.
To second for 1, and the relay to first is not in time. Young beats it out.
No, but Robin's been outstanding, Matty. He's stepped right in, and I think what I love about Robin is he hasn't been through that process of managing and coaching in the minor leagues. So the last thing on his mind and memories that he has are being a player. So he relates so well to us and what every guy in that clubhouse goes through. And when you have that kind of relationship with your players, but yet it's professional, and you know he's the boss. It just seems to work so well. And when I think about Bruce Bochy and some of the better guys that I've played for, and obviously I played for great managers all the way around, and Ozzie being one of those guys who left here for Florida. But Robin's going to be just fine, and the boys have responded. Just wish we could pull some of these close ones out and win some more ball games for him.
Runner aboard here with 2 gone for Alex Avila. Well, Jake, we want to thank you for taking some time with us. And again, congrats on getting off to such a great start. I know you're not a guy that sits around and polishes up trophies, but it's got to be satisfying to have been named the pitcher of the month in April, and go get them.
I appreciate that. Just blessed to be healthy, Matty. And like I said, appreciate the game. And hopefully we'll keep it going here and win some ball games and stay in Chicago and have a good summer.
Keep jamming and keep pitching.
I'm going to get you in, Timmy. I'm going to do a charity event here in Chicago towards the end of the summer and musical oriented. And I'll get you in. I'd love for you to sing a song for us. That'd be awesome.
I'm not sure you know the words to some of the songs I sing.
I tell you what, I'm a country boy at heart, but I love all different genres of music. I promise you I can learn them.
All right. Hey, Jake, thanks again for joining us.
Jake.
We sure appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.
Here are the numbers for Jake Peavy claiming pitcher of the month honors in the American League. 3-1, an ERA well under 2, 5 walks, 33 punch-outs. And Jake Peavy looks to be his healthy old self circa 2007. 2 balls and 2 strikes, the count to Alex Avila. Something tells me that if you appear on stage with Jake Peavy or anybody else in the big leagues, there will likely be a camera or 2 documenting that event.
I would imagine that's true. There are a few generations between Jake and me.
All the way full now. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Alex Avila. And with 2 away, Delman Young will get a head start from first with Johnny Peralta waiting next. Here is the 3-2 from Floyd, and they'll do it all over again. Tomorrow for the series finale between these 2 teams, the White Sox will put Dylan Axelrod on the mound, whose uncle is Jake Peavy's agent and who has represented a long line of Cy Young Award winners and big league veterans over the years. That's hit on the ground out to second base for Gordon Beckham. Floyd out of the inning unscathed. White Sox staff lead the American League in batting average against, and Jake Peavy's a big reason why. They trail this afternoon early, however. It's 2-0 Tigers. by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. The Tigers right-hander Max Scherzer living large so far this afternoon. He is not allowed to hit through 3. He has struck out 4. As we welcome you back inside the ballpark, top of the order here for the White Sox. Alejandro De Aza, Alexi Ramirez, and Adam Dunn. De Aza, one of the 4 strikeout victims. First time through the order. Just to give you a little indication as to how much cleaner Scherzer has been today as compared to his last start in the Bronx on Sunday. He had thrown 36 pitches in the second inning alone Sunday against the Yankees. He threw 31 in the first 3 innings combined this afternoon.
My gosh. 119 pitches against the Yankees last Sunday. He had 10 batters with a 3-2 count, walking 7. 10.
I mean, that's one of those afternoons when Jeff Jones or any pitching coach at any level is going to the antacid tablet more than once. A high wire act, if you will. 3 balls and a strike to count to Alejandro De Aza.
He went from antacid tablets to the video on Monday and figured out what Max was doing wrong, and they worked at it. And again, so far, so good. But Jeff Jones, one of the finer pitching coaches, he rarely gets the credit he deserves, but he's a good one. I mean, a real good one.
First 3-ball count of the afternoon for Scherzer here on Alejandro De Aza. Got him. And that's 5 punch-outs for the right-hander this afternoon as we send you back to the MLB Network studios in a DirecTV game break with Greg Amsinger.
Hey, Matty, let's go to San Fran. Alex Gonzalez with his base hit in the left center. This in the second inning. Ramos Ramirez is going to score, makes it 1-0. Bad news later in the inning, though. Alex Gonzalez takes off to steal second, injures himself, would have to leave the game. This is the 4th straight game for the Brewers where a player leaves with injury. You call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Matty, Tim, back to you in Detroit.
Boy, that is a bad blow indeed for the Brewers, who lost Matt Gamble during the week. My goodness, how many more injuries can Ron Renicke's bunch handle there? And Greg will keep us posted on the rest of the action around the big leagues today. 1 ball and 1 strike to count to Alexi Ramirez. Lexi trying to keep a 5-game hitting streak, modest as it may be, alive this afternoon. It's a 2-1.
2 positions defensively very difficult to replace. A shortstop and a catcher.
With all the bad news going around in bullpens around Major League Baseball, so many closers on the shelf. And future Hall of Famer Mariano Rivera added to that list with the unfortunate BP injury that he suffered during the week. It is an ugly trend. Here's the 2-2 home. Mo said yesterday that he will definitely be back. He's not going out, quote unquote, like this. Leader on the all-time saves board, 42 in the postseason, also the most all-time, and a guaranteed ticket to Cooperstown. 5 years from the day when he retires. Full count, 3-2.
And knowing Mariano Rivera for a long time, not unusual that he said he will try to return.
Still full, 3-2 to Ramirez.
From a physical standpoint, the difficult thing about it would be it's his push-off leg. And throwing that cutter for the success over a 17-year period. Very difficult.
That's a fair ball. And Avila tags Ramirez. There are 2 away.
I think Ramirez is saying the ball hit foul. It doesn't matter where it hit. It's where it ends up. Robin Ventura coming out, but that ball was a fair ball. Remember, that home plate is in fair territory. That ball over home plate. Avila alertly catching it with the bare hand, and then Ramirez saying it hit foul initially, and it did, but it ended up fair. Good play by Avila.
So the White Sox still looking for their first base runner this afternoon. Here's Adam Dunn. And there is the first White Sox base runner. Dunn with a clean single into right.
The first baseman, Paul.
9 in a row retired by Scherzer before this hit by Adam Dunn.
Paul Konerko now with Dunn aboard and 2 away. We didn't really have much of a chance to talk about Konerko when he led off the second, as he flied to right on the very first pitch he saw. The American League's on-base percentage leader at the start of play. 2 hits last night, and those 2 knocks moved him past Eddie Collins into 4th place on the all-time White Sox hit list. By the time it's said and done for Paulie, he's going to be top 3 in virtually every offensive category. He's had a terrific career on the South Side.
Signing initially with the Los Angeles Dodgers as a catcher. Going to Cincinnati, and he has flourished with the White Sox.
Late, and it's a ball and 2 strikes to Paul Konerko. Adam Dunn's 2-out single here. The only damage against Max Scherzer, if you can call it that. Only base runner of the afternoon. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes now. One of those division matchups that is certainly not unfamiliar to either one of the participants here. Paul Konerko now just 4 for 20 against Max Scherzer over the years. It's a pretty good litmus test for an opposing starter. How do you handle some of the premier hitters in your division? And in this case, the answer is very well for Scherzer. A full count now, 3-2. It looks like Paul Konerko is trying to break the rhythm of Scherzer here too, because he had worked so quickly in getting through the first 3 innings in order. And a called strike 3. That's 6 punch-outs for Max Scherzer. A Verlander-esque performance by the 27-year-old right-hander today. And speaking of Justin Verlander, he'll visit with us live as we continue next. flew out 11-year-old Shayna Hirsch, who has cystic fibrosis, along with her family to hang out at the Fan Cave. Justin also treated the family to 2 games at the stadium. You can check out all the latest Cave happenings at MLBFanCave.com as we welcome you back to Detroit. 2-0 Tigers as Detroit swings the bat in the 4th against Gavin Floyd, and Justin Verlander kind enough to join us here during the telecast. And Justin, what a neat event. Talk about what happened at the Fan Cave. I understand that young lady was surprised to see you there.
Yeah, you know, it was all set up. It was a big surprise. I'm not exactly sure what her dad told her, but she didn't know that I was going to surprise her. She's been a big fan of mine for a while now, and her entire class wrote a letter to me, so that's why I brought her out there. And I guess they set it up so she was in the middle of doing an interview, and I snuck up behind her and tapped her on the shoulder, and she said she thought it was her dad behind her, and she turns around and sees me, and she said she almost vomited. She didn't know what to do.
I would hope that was because she was pleased and not repulsed.
I would hope so, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Johnny Peralta leading things off here in the 4th. Peralta, Dirks, and Rayburn. And Justin, you're off to such a fine start this year. The Tigers kind of cruising along at that 500 number that you guys started the season with last year. A season that ended, of course, with such a great run in August and September. Anything feel different for you guys this season?
Well, you know, it's been kind of tough for us with Pfister going down for a little bit and a couple other things going on, some guys tweaking hamstrings and whatnot. But, you know, it's a long season, and I don't think you really know what kind of team you're going to have until you really get going into the season. And, you know, we started out hot. We started out on a high note, and then we went on a low note. And I think, you know, once we hit our stride and really just go out and play day to day and start winning 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, on the weekly basis, or you know, whatever, I think that's when we'll find out what kind of ball club we got, and hopefully we're starting to do that now. I think Doug's coming back on Monday, and you know, guys are healthy. Dirks is back in the lineup, and Young's back, and everybody's back. So hopefully we get hot.
And it all centers around pitching, as anybody who follows the game knows, Justin. And speaking of pitching, we talked earlier about how Matt Scherzer brings his hands over his head, but you keep your hands at your chest. Have you ever pitched from a windup where you brought your hands over your head at any time in your career?
I think I did in high school.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I think I did. And, you know, I think once you get to this level, you just try to, you know, minimize movement to get yourself in the proper position. You know, some guys like to move a little bit. I go down and then back up, and that's more of just a timing for me so that I don't get too quick. Because I would find when I kept my hands still, it's easy just to start rushing towards home plate instead of staying back and doing things the right way. Get down.
Andy Dirks with a soft liner out to center that will hang up.
Guys, I got to tell you, last time I did this, I think we had 2 bombs and 5 runs in the inning. So,
you did. That's right.
Yeah, you guys, we're not holding up the par here. We got to get going.
That was Prince Fielder's first home run as a Tiger.
Yeah, we need a big 2-out rally here, or else I'm not going to be able to do this anymore.
That's going to be up to Ryan Rayburn here with 2 gone in the inning. You know, Justin, while we have you, Tim was talking about your pitching coach, and Jeff Jones, along with every other pitching coach and hitting coach in the big leagues, is probably the last to get credit and the first to get blame. Talk about the work you do with him and the role he's played in your collective success.
Well, he's been great. You know, in the middle of last year he took over, but I think what a lot of people don't know is he was our bullpen coach since I've been here. And so he knows everybody. He's been around. He's watched what we do. And, you know, I think it just carried over, and he has a good rapport with all of our guys. And, you know, I think he knows what to say best to get you back when you're a little off. You know, little things, not getting too deep and not trying to do too much, but just little checkpoints that you have that sometimes go a little awry.
A ball and 2 strikes, the count to Ryan Rayburn. And in that regard, Max Scherzer's been okay today, I would say, huh?
He's been great. It's a great sign. I know he's been working hard in the bullpen on staying a little bit more vertical. He was getting on the side of the ball a little bit, and his misses were side to side instead of up and down. So you can imagine, you know, if you're trying to go in and you miss middle, or you're trying to go away and you pull it way off the plate, that's not the ideal situation. So if you can stay on those vertical lines, trying to go in, if the ball's in, you're trying to go away, it's away. I think that helps a lot. So it looks like it's helping him a lot today, and hopefully it's a great sign for us.
2-2 from Gavin Floyd, and a full count to Ryan Rayburn. Top of the order, Austin Jackson waiting next. 2-0 Tigers, last of the fourth, as we continue visiting with Justin Verlander. Hey, have you had any success getting into that room?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I get to watch Humber go in now, and I still got to stand out there. Congratulations to him, though, by the way. I got to see some of that game. What an amazing game.
Hey, Justin, thanks for taking some time with us. Great work at the Fan Cave a week ago, and we'll take you to the fifth with the Tigers on top 2-zip.
Right. Thanks, guys.
Largely because Max Scherzer has been terrific this afternoon. Only 1 hit through 4. As the fourth-year right-hander has racked up 6 early strikeouts. That one back up the box. Scherzer gets on it and throws wildly to first. A.J. Pierzynski will get to second, but the attention will go immediately to Max Scherzer.
That ball hit him on the right foot, and it hit him flush. It was not a glancing blow. Oh, boy. We've talked about Jeff Jones, the pitching coach, and Max Scherzer working so hard this week on trying to get the right rhythm. And what happens on the first pitch of the top of the fifth inning, A.J. Pierzynski with a line drive off the right foot. It looked like the outside of the right foot when Max followed through. And obviously, because that foot was hurting him, the wild throw to first base. Recovered in time to get Pierzynski, but it threw it wildly as he limps to the ball, and the throw on the home plate side of first base. And it's a throwing error on Max Scherzer, but more importantly, is he all right? And that's why Jim Leyland's out there.
And the unbelievably bad bit of timing required for that foot to get clipped by the baseball in the nanosecond that it was staying up like that.
That's really true. That's really right. Yeah.
He is at least going to stick around to try to pitch through this. That's about as random as it gets.
That is flush.
It's being scored as a base hit and an error, and that's how they explain Pierzynski landing at second base. So the White Sox, in rather unusual fashion, have their first runner in scoring position now for Alex Rios. Rios grounded to second base in his first try this afternoon. When a good slider is swung on and missed. That has been a terrific pitch for Scherzer so far today. Alex Rios started play this afternoon at 286. And while that might not seem at first glance like a world-beating type number, one has to go as far back as only last year to realize what a dramatic improvement that number represents. Rios in the same company of Adam Dunn in trying to put 2011 behind them. 2-2 now. We spoke with Robin Ventura about that very topic before the game. And Robin told us he felt no pressure to come in here and try to quote unquote fix anybody. Into the opposite field. But playable for Brennan Bosch. Pierzynski will tag up and advance to third. There's one away.
The left fielder, Ryan Vizcaino.
So the White Sox in a position now where a ball put in play can bring them a run and cut their deficit in half. It'll be Ryan Vizcaino who has the chance. I think it's fair to say, even though they're only a month into their direction under a new manager, Tim, that Alex Rios, Adam Dunn, and the rest of anybody else who struggled here last year has really responded positively to the new voice.
For Alex Rios, very positively. For Adam Dunn, he's doing better.
The 1-0 to Vizcaino, big swing and a miss.
I think it's one of those unusual things where a group of men, like the White Sox are, have to understand the manager instead of the manager understanding them initially. Most teams are not in that situation, but the St. Louis Cardinals with Mike Matheny as a first-year manager, and the White Sox with Robin Ventura. Certainly a situation where the understanding has to come to the manager. I think the Cardinals are like that. The Cardinals off to a good start. And I think the White Sox players understand that too.
Well, Ryan Vizcaino does not get cheated up there. Runner at third with less than 2 out. And just trying to put the ball in play. Still a ferocious hack with 2 strikes.
Well, that's one of those invisible catcher injuries where it hyperextends the fingers back, either finger or fingers, and you don't think it's an injury. But when it hits Alex Rios' glove, actually hit him on the back of the glove. Instead of Alex Avila. That ball hit him on the back of the hand.
And Vizcaino can't hang on. A big strikeout for Max Scherzer. There are 2 away with a runner at third. As we remind you tonight, the UFC returns to Fox and immediately hits the air live with an explosive heavyweight bout between LeVar Johnson and Pat Barry. It's followed by 3 epic fights, including a 5-round showdown between lightweight contenders Jim Miller and Nate Diaz. UFC Fight Night on Fox, sponsored by Bud Light, live from East Rutherford, New Jersey, tonight, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Here's Brent Morrell now. You know, that's an at-bat, not to go back and dwell on Vicieto's plate appearance. Less than two out, runner at third base. And the strikeout now requires a base hit to get that run across.
For the most part, right. Instead of scoring a cheap run with a ground ball or a fly ball.
Morrell behind 0-2. And apparently Max Scherzer's foot feels just fine, thanks. 8 strikeouts for him this afternoon, still 2-0 Tigers.
Generation of memories at all levels of the game. From the Chevrolet Youth Baseball program's instructional clinics and equipment donations to the many ball fields they've made better, see Chevrolet's commitment to the game at ChevyBaseball.com.
Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball in cities and towns across the country. Back with Tim McCarver, Matt Vasgersian in Detroit. The Tigers on top 2-0. Having strung together 4 singles in the second, that is all the scoreboard reflects, a 2-0 lead. Detroit will send up the top of the order against Gavin Floyd in the 5th. Austin Jackson, Brennan Bosch, and Miguel Cabrera. A ball and a strike to count to Austin Jackson. We talked a little bit earlier, Tim, about the 3-way trade consummated between the Yankees, the Tigers, and the Diamondbacks, and one that seemed to work out for everybody and included a player to be named later. Gavin Floyd, something that Sox fans remember, was acquired in a deal that also included a player to be named later, back when he was acquired from the Philadelphia Phillies. He was sent to the Sox in exchange for Freddie Garcia, and there was another player that came along with him who turned out to be pretty good.
In fact, he beat his original organization, the Philadelphia Phillies, today for the Washington Nationals. Gio Gonzalez.
Yeah, that's not a bad throw-in guy.
Woo.
Guy who just signed a multi-million-dollar deal with his new uniform. Swing and a miss by Jackson, and Floyd registers his 4th strikeout of the afternoon.
Washington Nationals drawing close to 40,000 today. as they beat the Phillies for the second straight time, beating Philadelphia and Charlie Manuel's group 4-3 last night in 11 innings.
They have been a lot of fun to watch.
They have.
Surprise leaders in the division. Here's Brennan Bosch now. And I guess they've surprised everybody except Davey Johnson, who predicted big things from his Nationals during spring training. In the air out to right center. De Aza is under it. Guess we might have chalked it up to managerial hyperbole, Tim, when a guy says, hey, we're going to be really good. But look at these numbers for this starting staff. They have been terrific.
There's Gio Gonzalez right in the middle. Jordan Zimmerman, Steven Strasburg, post Tommy John surgery for Steven and Ross Detweiler. Mind-boggling numbers through the first 5 weeks of the season.
2 quick outs now for Miguel Cabrera.
Nationals have had 5 walk-off wins. They're 9-5 in one-run ball games.
Lineup being energized by a young player who at the age of 19 has been anointed as the team's number 3 hitter. Something we'll get into as we continue this afternoon. It's 2 balls and a strike now to Miguel Cabrera. There are a handful of finals already from other venues across the big league landscape. We're checking in with Greg Amsinger shortly for an update. It's a ground ball out to third. Morel's got it. Strong throw. Retires Cabrera. Second straight 1-2-3 inning posted by Gavin Floyd. Max, 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. Round and round on the Tigers carousel here at the ballpark. Your Jeep game summary this afternoon. It begins and ends with Max Scherzer. He's been terrific, having struck out 8. He has allowed only 2 base runners today. The Tigers scratched together a couple of runs in the bottom of the second on 4 singles, and that's where we sit as we enter the 6th. Gordon Beckham leads things off, followed by the top of the order, De Aza and Ramirez. If you're just tuning us in, Max Scherzer has punched out 8 this afternoon. This on the heels of a performance Sunday where he failed to finish 5 innings and walked a season-high 7. Whatever mechanical problems needed to be ironed out have certainly been addressed. At least that's what it appears today.
No question.
1-2 to Gordon Beckham. Jeff Jones, the Tigers pitching coach, in his first full year in that capacity. But after we visited with Justin Verlander, we were reminded, of course, he was the bullpen coach here for a while. As Beckham sends Dirks all the way to the wall.
And you know, Matt, a good pitching coach will work hand in glove with the catcher to make him like the assistant pitching coach, if you will. They work very, very closely, Alex Avila and Jeff Jones, with all of their pitchers. So in order, the catcher's more or less the conduit between the pitching coach and the pitcher. So he'll work closely with the pitcher, but also through the catcher too.
0-1 the count to Alejandro De Aza. Has that always been the dynamic when you were receiving the likes of Bob Gibson and company? Was that true back then?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, after I was traded from the Cardinals to the Phillies, Ray Ripplemeyer, one of the better pitching coaches around, was a guy very influential in changing Rick Wise from a thrower to a pitcher in 1971. He won 17 games with a good curveball behind in the count. And that year, after the season, the Phillies traded Rick Wise to the St. Louis Cardinals for Steve Carlton. That's how important the pitching coach for the Phillies was, because he made Rick Wise, in my opinion, the pitcher that he ultimately became, good enough for the Phillies to trade for Steve Carlton. Wow. And Carlton went on and won 251 games for the Phillies.
1-2 strikes, the count here to Alejandro De Aza. Line back up the middle. And the third base hit of the afternoon for the White Sox. That'll bring up Alexi Ramirez, who was retired in unusual fashion in the 4th when this chopper was ruled a foul ball. He was tagged out by Alex Avila despite his protests. And here's how it sounded with home plate umpire Jeff Nelson.
He's out. He's out. That's fair. That's fair. That's right there. It doesn't matter. It's where he touches it. It's where he touches it. No. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it initially, that it's not where the ball hits, but the first time the catcher touches the ball, and that ball was clearly over the plate. That's why I telestrated that ball. The plate is in fair territory. It's obscure right now. You can't tell it because the lines toward third and first are obscured. But this ball clearly over the plate in fair territory, and that's why Alexei was out.
A ball and a strike to him here. So Alexei Ramirez effectively grounding out to the catcher.
2 unassisted.
He's had his share of troubles with Max Scherzer the past couple of years. Now just 3 for 22 against the Tiger right-hander.
I'll tell you, that hurt Max Scherzer's right foot when he turned to throw to first. That's his first throw to first base. And he didn't realize it was going to hurt. And he slowed up his delivery to first base. He almost balked.
Boy, they got him this time, however.
He didn't balk then.
Well, De Aza may have been thinking along your same lines, Tim, thinking, hey, I got him where I want him now.
I think perhaps. I mean, the first throw to first base, it was like Scherzer had hurt his foot, but that second one was lightning fast to get De Aza. He was out. Quick snap throw by Scherzer.
So 2 gone now, and the 1-1 pitch to Ramirez is in for a strike. Here's the first throw over to first base.
It looked like Scherzer had hurt his foot, throwing very deliberately over there, and then that quick one the second time. Woo. Second one, watch the feet, very quick.
Already Scherzer's second pickoff of the season. And what Andy Pettitte was to left-handers in terms of the threat to pick you off, those numbers are going to have opponents really wary of running on Max Scherzer.
That does a lot of things that helps the defense. It keeps the runner close to second base. He can't go down, break up a double play perhaps.
That's rolled out to shortstop. Peralta's up with it. Throw to first gets Ramirez. Scherzer helping himself out. Not only has he struck out 8, he's picked off a runner. Still 2-0 Detroit.
Four straight. The Red Sox have dropped 4 in a row. Final score 8-2. On the north side, Dean Gordon, one of his 2 hits. This down the line will drive and a run. Chris Capuano's 4-0 on the year. Dodgers beat the Cubs 5-1. And in D.C., Jason worked against his old team, connects a 3-run shot. Nats win 7-1. Maddie, I know you want to know this. Bryce Harper 0 for 4 with a walk. Back to you.
Read my mind, Greg. We were talking about Bryce Harper just an inning ago. Back here in Detroit, Tigers on top 2-0 as Gavin Floyd starts the last of the 6th. No better time than the present to get into that discussion as we talk about the young former #1 overall pick who's been thrust into that #3 spot. And I know by way of comparison, Tim, you had a conversation with somebody who has perspective on what he's faced with this year.
Well, back in 1953, the great, the elegant, elegant and eloquent Al Kaline. In 1953, he came up from Baltimore to join the Detroit Tigers. He played in 1954, and then he won the batting title. He is the youngest player ever to win a batting title in 1955. Bucky Harris was the manager, and he hit him third. In fact, there's Al. Boy, what a graceful player he was, and is just as graceful a gentleman at 77 today. Looks fabulous.
Looks like he caught that ball, too.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's talking about Bryce Harper this past week. I mean, think about the youngest player in the history of the game to win a batting title in Kaline.
Delman Young off the end of the bat into shallow right, and Alex Rios makes the catch. Al Kaline is very much a fixture here in Detroit still to this day, still very active in the community and with the organization. This was earlier today, just settling in around the cage and watching batting practice.
Al and I had a 20-minute conversation yesterday, and he had a very good point in saying it's so much more difficult for young players today, young players like Bryce Harper, constantly, I say badgered because that is the word until you have enough experience to learn how to handle interviews. Everybody wants to talk to you. Whereas back in 1955 when Al was going through that, winning a batting title as the youngest player, there were a few interviews, but I mean, we in the media have changed. Everybody's changed. It's tougher to be a star today than it was 45 years ago.
Well, it's a great point. And even in terms of the modern game, there have been but a handful of teenagers that have hit third in a major league lineup. Griffey Jr. did it in the late 80s. Andrew Jones did it a decade later. It really isn't done very often.
No. I think managers want to take as much pressure as they can off of young players, so they hit them 7th or 8th. But rarely do you see a 19-year-old hitting third. You may see that happen in September on call-ups, but not in the early May.
On the corner to Alex Avila, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Meanwhile, Gavin Floyd, who has not received a whole lot of support today, is a strike away from retiring his 10th straight Tiger. The 2-2 home. A swing and a miss. Avila's gone down on strikes twice, and indeed 10 in a row set down by the White Sox right-hander. We'll return after a quick break from your local Fox station. By Chevrolet. 2-0 Tigers as we start the top half of the 7th, and perhaps one last pass for the big boys against Max Scherzer. Adam Dunn, Paul Konerko, A.J. Pierzynski. Scherzer has been fantastic this afternoon. 8 strikeouts. He's allowed 3 singles and only 1 runner to get past first base. 2-0 to Dunn. Dunn has 1 of those 3 base hits. It came with 2 out in the 4th. He would be stranded right there. Well hit into the opposite field. Dirks is back at the wall, makes the catch.
Well, that's a good play by a guy who originally was turned around. Andy turned the wrong way, recovered in time, and made the catch. Those low liners are hit, and they're on you so quickly that you often see even experienced players turn the wrong way and turn the right way. Watch him turn to his left to make the play.
Nicely done by the Mark Teixeira lookalike.
Yeah, good going. He does.
Give me a point on that one.
Yeah.
There's Paul Konerko now with 1 away. He swings at the first pitch. There's nothing Andy Dirks can do about this one. Paul Konerko has hit his 6th of the year, and the White Sox are on the board. You can, quote, put it on the board.
The pitcher, AT DET.
Paul Konerko this past week with home run number 400, and he adds to that total. Only 2 players in White Sox history have 400 home runs or more: Frank Thomas and Paul Konerko.
A not so comfortable 1-run lead now for the Tigers. And here's Pierzynski as we take a look at Paulie swing it once again. That's a ball that just leaped right over the middle of the plate. 1-2. Pierzynski singled back in the 5th. Tigers bullpen is up for the first time this afternoon behind the starter. Phil Koch, the left-hander. Octavio Dotel, the right-hander. Alex Rios waiting on deck. White Sox having finally cracked through against Scherzer here in the 7th, and it's now 2-2. Full count. Scherzer has been efficient this afternoon. He had 2 innings in which he threw fewer than 10 pitches. Just over 90 total pitches today, and the 3-2 home to Pierzynski is hit in the air and angling into the seats. So still a full count. Little trouble in the 4th. A couple of strikeouts there. But it's been smooth sailing until the home run by Konerko.
Yeah, that pitch count is fine, but the key column is, are you winning? And the answer is yes, he is right now.
Pierzynski takes a moment on 3-2 as he resets. Here's the payoff pitch home. Little flare that won't get past Cabrera. And there are 2 gone in the 7th. It's time for the Just for Men Auto Stop Foolproof Stat. And the stat today is 8 punch-outs in 6 2/3 for Max Scherzer. This on the heels of a 7-walk performance on Sunday. Just as the Tigers can count on Max Scherzer, you can count on Just for Men Auto Stop for foolproof results. Here's Alex Rios now.
Yes, I was being sarcastic when I brought up that about pitch counts, because it's affecting little leagues now to the point where it's almost when little Johnny comes home from his little league game, his dad says, "How was your pitch count today, Johnny?"
Well, it's so much a part of the vernacular now.
It is, and to a fault in my view.
And it's not gone without the note of a lot of casual fans. We're just as guilty as anybody for having constantly posted the pitch count on radio and TV.
Yeah.
However, when you hear the Washington Nationals comment about players like Steven Strasburg and say on record that they won't extend him past 160 innings this year, it begs the question, what do you do in September when you need your ace and there's a big game to win?
And you're in first place like the Nationals are right now.
White Sox get on the board in the 7th on Paul Konerko's 6th of the year. It's a 1-run ball game in Detroit. PG. Seventh inning stretch having been completed here in Detroit. Johnny Peralta is ready to go at Gavin Floyd. Easier said than done. And on an afternoon, Tim McCarver, where we have extolled the virtues of the Tigers starter, perhaps flying below the radar is what the White Sox offering has done.
I mean, you could make a case right now that Gavin Floyd should have a 1-0 lead.
Couple of runs scratched off against him in the second on 4 singles, 3 in the infield. And that was the damage. That one comes in and hit the knob of Peralta's bat. Bottom third of the order here in the 7th. Gavin Floyd has retired 10 straight. He has struck out 5, having allowed just the 2 runs on 6 hits. Two and two. White Sox fans are familiar with the fact that this is really nothing new for Floyd. He's been very good for his career against the Tigers. 7-2 with an ERA in the middle threes in 18 previous starts. And he makes Peralta chase his slider in the dirt. Fox Saturday Baseball returns next week when Albert Pujols and the Angels square off against the rival Rangers in a showdown between AL West foes. Or the Cubs battle Ryan Braun of the Brewers, or David Wright and the Mets head to Miami. Fox Saturday Baseball returns next week, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, following MLB Player Poll, which airs at a special time. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. One gone for Andy Dirks. One would guess, Mr. McCarver, that by the time the Angels are on Fox Saturday Baseball a week from today, King Albert will have gotten himself off to Schneid. But
I thought that last Saturday and the Saturday before
yeah.
and the Saturday before the Saturday before.
108 homerless at-bats for Albert Pujols, who's in action tonight against Kyle Brabek and the Blue Jays out west. My goodness.
Blue Jays with 2 straight shutouts over the Indians, or over the Angels, over the last 2 nights. The first time in 20 years.
Andy Dirks gets that one fair just inside the line, up and over the fence. A ground rule double here in the bottom of the 7th.
Andy's second hit of the game. That ball down and in. And that breaks a string from Gavin Floyd of 11 straight Tigers to go down without a hit.
So now the number 9 hitter, Ryan Rayburn. Boy, and Jim Leland would love the idea of getting that 2-run lead back after the Konerko home run cut it in half last half inning.
I think one way or the other Max Scherzer is done. I think Jim Leland will go to his bullpen and try to leave Scherzer after last Sunday's bad outing with a good taste in his mouth today, and he deserves that. He has pitched very, very well this afternoon.
Joaquin Benoit has been up, and he is good and hot in that Tiger bullpen. That would indicate that you're right on the money with that statement. 2 balls and no strikes to Ryan Rayburn. The left-hander Will Oman, who has pitched on both sides of the Chicago rivalry, is up in the bullpen right now for the White Sox. Here's another example as to why Tim McCarver's statement is right.
Yeah, I cheated.
This is Max between innings. Job well done. And it'll be Joaquin Benoit most likely when we go to the 8th. 2 balls and a strike to Ryan Rayburn. On a sharp hop for Ramirez. That one almost knocked him down. Throw is wide, and Konerko had to come off the bag.
When Ozzie Guillen was the manager of the Chicago White Sox, we had a long conversation one day before the game. He said, you watch Ramirez, most of his errors come on throws. Well, Ozzie was right on from that play. That's an easy play after he makes a dandy stop of that ball hit by Rayburn. And that throw way off the mark. Konerko can't hold on to the bag.
Yeah, Frank Howard's not going to make that play.
No. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar would not make that play.
Here's Austin Jackson now back to the top of the order. He's got 2 singles and an RBI this afternoon. A big opportunity for the Tigers after the E6.
I say that because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a huge baseball fan who speaks the language of baseball.
Is he really?
Yes, he is. And yes, he does.
Known Kareem to be something of a renaissance guy. Didn't include baseball, at least as far as I thought.
Loves the game.
A ball and a strike to count to Austin Jackson. Both bullpens are hot. The left-hander Will Oman is likely getting ready for that guy. Brennan Bosch waits next. The problem is if you're trying to stunt the Tigers lineup by getting bullpen options ready, you're going to have somebody up for every at-bat. Because Jim Leyland has the luxury of penning this right, left, 1 through 9 as he has today.
Yep.
Yeah, that one's rolled foul. This MLB on Fox season, Fox Sports is proud to support Boys and Girls Club of America, a place where youth can reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. To learn more, please visit greatfutures.org/Fox Sports. Where they have packed the place this afternoon. Terrific crowd. Floyd out of the stretch. The next offering home to Jackson. He rolls over the ground ball. Morrell to Beckham, back to first. Not so fast as Austin Jackson runs very well.
So does Ryan Rayburn, who got down and got on top of Gordon Beckham. Jackson out of the box, realizing that if he beats the play, it's important. And Ryan Rayburn going into Gordon Beckham. Of course, the ball's not hit that hard anyway. Beckham does all he can, but still a good takeout slide from Rayburn.
Well, perhaps if that plate appearance had gone differently, we'd be seeing Will Oman to face Brennan Bosch.
Probably.
But with 2 out now, this will be Floyd's hitter. And not only is Oman not coming in the ballgame, he's no longer up. Nate Jones, the right-hander, is up throwing now. Again, these are the difficulties in trying to counter the powerful Tigers. Bosch is hitless this afternoon, 0 for 3. Dirks at third. Jackson the runner at first. Well, the old Sutcliffe move. It is booed regularly when a visiting player attempts it.
Yes. Tradition.
You know, you hear people often say, it never works. Well, it might work without you knowing it. It might take a step off somebody's lead. Bosch dumps a ball toward the gap, but Rios is there to make the catch. And Gavin Floyd holds in the 7th. driven by Chevy as Ramon Santiago takes over at second base, and that'll force another change as Ryan Rayburn moves out to right in place of Brennan Bosch. Santiago bats second in Bosch's turn in the order. And a new pitcher as well, as the right-hander Joaquin Benoit takes over here in the 8th for Max Scherzer.
Signing as a free agent with the Tigers after a very successful year with Tampa Bay a couple of years ago. 63 games. And speaking of Tampa Bay, Joe Madden goes for victory number 1,000 with game number 1,000 with the Tampa Bay Rays.
What a great story that is down in St. Pete again this year.
Best record in baseball. Game 1,000 tonight in Tampa Bay.
Kosuke Fukudome is the pinch hitter here in the 8th. It'll be Fukudome, then Morel and Beckham. Bottom third of Robin Ventura's lineup card here in the 8th inning. You talk about what Joe Madden has in St. Pete and all the flexibility, all those changeable parts, different lineups, different defensive looks.
Particularly the shifts.
Indeed. Shifts and personnel groupings. I sound like a defensive coordinator now, but that's kind of how they play it down there. I don't think Jim Leyland has that same kind of flexibility. In fact, I know he doesn't have that same kind of flexibility, but he does have a few players, and we're seeing that flexibility here in guys like Ryan Rayburn and Ramon Santiago, that he can use in late leads, as he is today, to try to tighten himself up defensively. Here's the 0-2 from Benoit, and Fukudome one-hops it out to the aforementioned Ramon Santiago.
Don't you find that odd a bit, Matt, that Fukudome is pinch hitting for another left-handed hitter?
I do, and I don't know if that's a statement as to how Dion Vicieto's going right now,
or if he's hurt or not. You know, we don't know that. We haven't heard that up here, but it's odd to pinch hit a left-hander for a left-hander.
Here's Brent Morel now. And instead of Brent Morel, it's a pinch hitter for him. Eduardo Escobar steps in off the bench. So Robin Ventura has gone to back-to-back pinch hitters to try to generate something in the 8th. Brent Morel, being pinch hit for, had struck out twice against Max Scherzer.
Yeah, I said he was a left-handed hitter. He was a right-handed hitter. So my mistake.
Same move being made here, with Escobar in for from the left side rather, in place of the right-handed swinging Morel. Hey, we're not above correcting ourselves.
Oh, absolutely not. But, you know, I mean, the point's kind of the same. If you could start a right-handed hitter in left field against a right-handed pitcher, and when he strikes out a couple of times, pinch hit for him his third time up, that gives you an idea of what kind of bind Robin Ventura's in right now.
I think you're right. Vicieto and Morel have been struggling offensively.
Right.
A ball and 2 strikes to Eduardo Escobar. To 2-2 now. You ever seen the pitch clock called?
No. Not in a long time. It's kind of silly, really, to have that. What is it, 20 seconds?
20 seconds, and the rule exists should umpires choose to enforce it. It is rarely enforced. Rafael Betancourt of the Rockies had it called twice on him as an Indian some years ago. But Benoit works to that same pace, and there are 2 gone here in the 8th. Hey, Chevrolet is helping to build the next generation of diamonds and dreams. Here's our own Ken Rosenthal with more.
As the official vehicle of Major League Baseball, Chevrolet is proud to be building the next generation of memories at all levels of the game. From the Chevrolet Youth Baseball program's instructional clinics and equipment donations to the many ball fields they've made better, see Chevrolet's commitment to the game at ChevyBaseball.com.
Ken, thanks. Here's Gordon Beckham now with 2 away. Jose Mesa was another reliever whose style I'm reminded of when I watch Joaquin Benoit. He was never in any particular hurry.
Joaquin looks a little like Jose Mesa.
He does. With the goatee, you bet. Yeah. A ball and a strike to count. Well, Benoit has been a very valuable setup man for Jim Leyland. And in a late lead, the Tigers manager can use what he refers to as his formula to try to get the ball to Jose Valverde in the 9th. A ball and 2 strikes to Gordon Beckham. The Tigers have not been as invincible this year, however, as they were with late leads last season. Undefeated, 77-0 when leading after 7. The best record the game has seen since 1921. Really an amazing number. This year 9-3 when leading after 7 innings. That long set by Benoit. He comes home, and it's still 1-2. In fact,
one of those blown saves on Valverde's first appearance of the year against the Red Sox.
And I believe that came on behalf of Justin Verlander.
Yeah, that's right.
Not ones you like to give up. A ball and 2 strikes. It remains to Gordon Beckham. 2 out, nobody aboard. White Sox down a run here in the 8th. Well, there have been a lot of injuries in the backs of bullpens this year. And when you combine the injuries with the inconsistencies, that spells the fact that Jose Valverde is one of only 3 active closers who led his team in save opportunity as recently as 2010, who are still closing games 2 years later. That's how much turnover there's been in that stopper role.
Boy, that's a thought. Wow.
A big swing and a miss. Joaquin Benoit lulling him to sleep. Still 2-1 Tigers. welcome you back to Detroit. Back with Tim McCarver, Matt Vasgersian into the late stages of Game 2 of this 3-game set between the White Sox and the Tigers. And a couple of defensive changes. Eduardo Escobar, who pinch hit for Brent Morel last half inning, stays in the ballgame at third. And Kosuke Fukudome, who also pinch hit last half inning, remains in the ballgame. He takes over in left field. New pitcher for the Pale Hoses, right-hander Nate Jones. And he'll face the teeth of the order for the Tigers. Fielder, and Delman Young.
Chicago White Sox with some impressive arms in their bullpen. As we talked about the bullpen over the last couple of innings, and Robin Ventura knows it. And we posed the question to Robin that with Chris Sale going to the bullpen, does it bother him that the White Sox have 4 relievers that are left-handers? He said, not the way these guys throw. The reason Chris Sale was moved to the bullpen, by the way, elbow tenderness, and the White Sox, Don Cooper and Robin Ventura, and Ken Williams thinking that, Ken Williams, of course, the general manager, and thinking that it'll be a little easier on Chris Sale's elbow. He was not happy with the move, by the way, because he was so successful as a starter. And Robin said, you know, we wish we could keep him as a starter, but we're fearful that he might go down on us if we do.
Yeah, this was a move that Robin made very clear to us that they did with Chris Sale's best interest in mind.
Right.
There's Miguel Cabrera leading things off in the home 8th. Tigers on top by a run. Detroit has not trailed this afternoon. 2 in the 2nd. White Sox only run came on a Paul Konerko home run in the 7th. First offering from Nate Jones, misses in tight. Jones impressed with a very good spring training. Made the opening day roster. He features a big breaking ball. That's tops in his arsenal. Cabrera grounds to shortstop for Ramirez, and there's one away. Pepsi Max is giving you the chance to play with some of the game's greats. Go online to MLB.com/Pepsi Max to vote for your favorite legends and learn how to turn your field of dreams into reality. Remember, if you build it, they will come. Here's Prince Fielder now with one away. A single in 3 tries for Prince today. Got a shot at Doug Fister a moment ago. That's part of the good news on the pitching equation for the Tigers. We talked about that a little earlier, with Porcello sharpening up, getting ready to return. Doug Fister saying the same. 2 singles this afternoon for Prince Fielder.
Yeah, Doug Fister scheduled to start for the Tigers against Seattle on Monday night. The team from which he was traded last July.
This was yesterday here at the ballpark. Getting a bullpen session in. Tigers are very pleased with his process. One out, one on now for Delman Young. On the ground to shortstop. Ramirez to Beckham, and the White Sox kill them both. The double play, and it's a 1-2-3-8. We're going to the 9th. 2-1 Tigers. We've hit the top half of the ninth. The Tigers have not trailed this afternoon. They're 3 outs away from claiming the first 2 in this weekend series, and they have turned to the animated histrionics of their right-handed closer, Jose Valverde, here in the ninth.
A man who is used to having a low earned run average has an earned run average over 5 this year, and 2-0 on the year. And that, I know that sounds strange, but when you're 2-0 as the closer after 11 games, that's not good.
It'll be the top of the order against him here in the ninth. De Aza, Ramirez, and Dunn. 2 runs on 8 hits and error for the Tigers. A run on 4 hits and error for the White Sox. De Aza has singled in 3 trips as the first offering from Valverde stays high. Jose Valverde has racked up 79 saves in 83 chances starting back from the 2010 season. That save percentage is the highest in baseball during that time. Going 49 for 49 as he did last year certainly doesn't hurt that number. If you go back in additional years, since 2009, only John Axford has had a higher save percentage. And the leadoff hitter is aboard in the visitors' ninth. Time to take a look at the Burger King smooth play of the game. They were plays back in the second. Singles, 4 of them, which strung together the 2 runs that the Tigers hope can hang on. Avila, Peralta, Dirks, and Jackson finally plating a couple of runs against Gavin Floyd. Leadoff hitter is aboard, and now Alexei Ramirez.
White Sox not only with their leadoff hitter aboard, but a fast leadoff hitter in De Aza. He's stolen 3 of 4, even though he was picked off the last time he was on first.
Runner goes, throw down to second base is not in time. And as most of them are, Tim, that one was stolen against the pitcher.
No question about it. You've got a totally different right-hander out there with Valverde as opposed to Max Scherzer. Well, I'll tell you, he could have slid off the bag when the tag was made. That was very close, even though I guess the left thigh hugged the bag, but it was very close of going too far over the bag.
Well, he just stayed hooked.
Yeah, he did.
Tying runs in scoring position with nobody out. Ramirez would love to pick up his modest 5th game hitting streak right here. He bunts. That'll move the tying run to third with 1 away. A terrific job by Ramirez.
The designated hitter, Adam Dunn.
And if you're the White Sox now, you like your chances for a fly ball with Adam Dunn.
If you're the Tigers, you like your chances for a strikeout.
1 today for big Adam Dunn. And that means dating back to the end of the 2011 season, Adam Dunn has struck out in a major league record 31 consecutive games. The infield comes in for him here with the tying run at third and 1 away. Fastball misses the corner. And there are the numbers. Longest stretch by a non-pitcher since 1921. If you're wondering about head-to-head matchups, there have been a few between these two. Dunn 2 for 9 in his career against the Tiger closer. A fly ball and maybe more. That ball is gone! Oh, my!
Stunning.
What do you think? Will Robin Ventura live with the strikeouts for stuff like that? The White Sox take their first lead of the afternoon.
That's funny. The crowd here in America Park throwing the ball back, but it was hit so far and so deep into the stands that it took a relay to get. About 3 fans had to throw it back on the field. That's how far that ball was hit.
Oh, my goodness.
That's got to be the longest home run of the year. I think we can say that. In fact, I'm going with it.
All right. Well, we'll
forget about it.
I don't think I could think of one more impressive looking off the bat. That ball was absolutely crushed.
Oh, my gosh. Good night. Valverde's reaction was classic. Way back up in there.
That might have gotten into the concourse. As Paul Konerko fouls off the 0-1 pitch to fall behind 0-2.
That is the first time that we have seen a number of fans hitting the cutoff man, throwing the ball back onto the field. Oh, my goodness. Yes, you got it all, Adam.
He is some kind of strong.
Oh, gosh.
And Konerko waves it an 0-2 pitch. It gets away from Avila, who finishes with the throw, and there are 2 away.
The pitcher, AT DET.
Estimated distance of that one, Mr. McCarver? 422 feet.
No, it's longer than that. That's longer than that.
Wow. The man affectionately referred to by his teammates as the big donkey. When he kicks and gets a hold of one like that, it is something to behold. Here's A.J. Pierzynski now with 2 away. There's the big question, and there's so much conversation, Tim, around Adam Dunn and his propensity to strike out. Do you make that deal? Do you live with the strikeouts for some of that incredible power and productivity?
Well, knowing what you know now about last year, no. But you didn't know what you knew about last year until last year was over. 11 home runs. You know, a guy who's struck out a ton of times, but he's walked a ton of times too. That's what Robin was telling us before the game. You have every reason to smile about that blast.
Yes, you do.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, for Adam Dunn, 4 straight years of 40 or more, averaging better than 100 runs batted in his big years in Cincinnati between 2004 and 2007. Big years in D.C., 38 home runs and over 100 RBIs in each. And then those numbers hit the wall inexplicably last year. Pierzynski rolls over and sends it on the ground to the right side with Valverde covering. They get the out, but not before big Adam Dunn can get a hold of his. The White Sox go to the last of the 9th, up a run. 49 in save opportunities. After his second blown this year, finds his Tigers in the unlikely position of playing in the bottom of the ninth. Hector Santiago, one of the 4 left-handers in Robin Ventura's bullpen, will try to finish business here as he faces Alex Avila, Johnny Peralta, and Andy Dirks.
And Hector has had 2 blown saves this year.
It hasn't been a carbon copy the way things have played out, but the situation was very similar last night. Gordon Beckham delivered a late lead for the White Sox with a home run, and then the game ended in the last of the ninth on Johnny Peralta's first of the year. Johnny Peralta will bat next. One-two pitch to Avila. Sent into the opposite field, but playable for Fukudome, and there's one away.
I'll tell you, that top of the ninth inning in microcosm is what the game of baseball is all about from an offensive standpoint. I mean, you get a base hit by Diaz, you get a stolen base by Diaz, the sacrifice to third by Ramirez, and the bomb from Adam Dunn. From little ball to small ball and everything in between to take the lead.
Here is Peralta now with one away. Believe it or not, you know, here we are on May 5th. And if the White Sox can hang on today, this would be their first win of the year, scoring 3 runs or fewer. It's such a strange number when you consider how much better their starting pitching has been. Two balls and a strike to Johnny Peralta. He was Johnny on the spot last night. Tigers trailing by a run. Last of the ninth, man on against Matt Thornton. Game winner. Picked a pretty good place for his first of the year. The 3-1. It's a White Sox bullpen that is still evolving. And there is ball 4, tying runs aboard with one away. And there is help up behind Santiago. Addison Reed. We're going to have a pinch runner at first for Peralta. Danny Worth will take over at first with one gone. And now it's up to Andy Dirks. We talked earlier about how Chris Sale is being moved back to the bullpen. Some confusion over his role, but as Tim talked about earlier, Don Cooper and manager Robin Ventura making the tough decision based on what they think is not only best for the team, but best for the player. A ball and a strike to count to Andy Dirks. Into center field. And the Tigers are down to their final out this afternoon.
With Addison Reed warming up in the bullpen, Even though Robin Ventura told us that his left-handers that he has down there, they're very effective against right-handed batters. I mean, why are you warming up Addison Reed if you're not going to bring him in to face Ryan Rayburn?
Well, it'll be the left-hander that stays out there. And here is Rayburn hitless 0 for 3 so far today. Entering the afternoon, the Chicago White Sox were just 2 for their last 13 here in Detroit. As we talked about when we went on the air, this has been a very tough venue for the Sox the last couple of seasons. Yesterday, losing in walk-off fashion. Down to their final strikes today before Adam Dunn could deliver a lead. And now Santiago looking to finish.
Rayburn in an ideal hitting situation here. Knew he was going to get the fastball and did, but he went out of the strike zone to swing.
2 balls and a strike. Big velocity on the 2-1 fastball rather, and now Detroit is down to its final strike.
2 fastballs in the same spot, right around the letters to Rayburn.
A full count. With 2 away, Worth will get a head start from first base. Should it go farther, Austin Jackson will bat next.
I agree with the White Sox holding the runner on at first base. That way he can't score on a short double.
Here we go. The 3-2. Consistent mid-90s has been the fastball from Hector Santiago. Rayburn's done it once, 1 career walk-off home run. It came against the White Sox a few years ago.
Chicago outfield in a no doubles defense. They're about as deep as you can play a guy without having a ticket.
They tried again on 3-2. A base hit into left field. Worth to third. All the way to second goes Ryan Rayburn.
There's nobody at second base. Gordon Beckham had gone all the way into left field along with the shortstop, Alexei Ramirez, and nobody was there to cover second. And now here comes Robin Ventura, and he is going to make the move here to the right-hander, Addison Reed, I would think. Man.
He has indeed made the move. Yet another interesting twist in Detroit this afternoon. A pitching change. We'll be right back.
Why? Well, both the shortstop, Alexei Ramirez, and Gordon Beckham, the second baseman, go out for the play. They're frozen 3 feet apart, and nobody's at second base. Rayburn, on the other hand, rounds the bag, sees it, and saying, "Oh, a gift." He would have stopped at first base. He even looked back to his left thinking, what is this, a trick play? Maybe somebody's filtering in from maybe the first baseman, Paul Konerko, will be at second base, and nobody was there.
Addison Reed's first pitch in relief, a 96-mile-an-hour fastball on the black to put Austin Jackson behind 0-1. So as a result of that play, the winning runs in scoring position with 2 gone here in the last of the ninth. Jackson 2 for 4 today. You saw the impressive numbers for Addison Reed a moment ago. He has not allowed a run to begin the season. 11 straight scoreless appearances by the rookie right-hander. He has been particularly challenging to right-handed hitters, the likes of which are just 2 for 19 against him. Starting to see why. It's 1-2 to Austin Jackson.
I think Austin Jackson's going to get this pitch again. There are some times when you just want to throw the fastball. There's no sense in tricking anybody. No wasting a pitch. You go right after him.
The 1-2. Jackson just gets a piece. Austin Jackson has 1 walk-off hit in his career, and it came this opening day against the Red Sox after a Jose Valverde blown save. Sound familiar? Tying and winning runs on base. And there will be no such walk-off hit this afternoon. A 97-mile-an-hour fastball by the rookie right-hander closes business in Detroit today. Well, on the heroics of Adam Dunn and a combined effort by the young White Sox bullpen, Chicago snatches them back this afternoon, Mr. McCarver, for a 3-2 win.
About as excruciating for the Tigers today as it was for the White Sox last night.
Terrific ball game to watch from Detroit. The White Sox win at 3-2. That's all. We'll send it to Greg Amsinger and Harold Reynolds at the MLB Network studios.
Hey, congrats, Bubba.